Hey fellow bibliophiles, it's Katie, and today I want to come to you with a few book recommendations for books that have really short chapters. And I don't think I'm alone in this opinion, but I always get so excited when a book has very short chapters because it makes me feel like I can stop more frequently. It feels like the story's going on a little bit quicker. I just really like it, and I tend to be biased towards books with short chapters. And so I have a few books here. I went through a lot of the books that I've read within the last few years and flipped through to see if the chapters were at least 5 pages or shorter. So the books that I have here, I've got 4 YA and then I've got 1 adult book. And I think that tends to be because maybe YA authors like writing in shorter chapters. Maybe it's easier to keep an audience that they're targeted for a little bit more. The cats are going crazy for this one. They've been so good all day. You see Philly right down there? Yeah. Hey, Phil. So the books, I don't know if they just are meant for a younger audience, so that's why they keep them a little bit shorter. They're easier to read, but these books I absolutely love, and I would recommend whether they have long chapters or short chapters. So without further ado, let's get into the book. First book I want to talk about has, it's become very popular because of Paperback Dreams. Kat can't make a video without talking about this book, and that's Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I didn't enjoy it quite as well as Kat did, and I really think it was because I was 26 when I read this book, and I'm out of college. I'm kind of been, look at Phil, look, he's making sure he's in frame. But this book didn't quite relate to me as it did to her, and I think this is the type of book that you definitely need to be in the right age range. So this book is about a young teen that is trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. A lot of really hard decisions that she's going to have to make within the near future while she goes off to university. And she loves this podcast called Universe City, and it just so happens to be made by her neighbor and one of her friends. So they become friends, they kind of bond over this podcast. And there's a lot of hard things that these kids have to go through. There's an abusive mother in one part of the story, and just kind of the pressure that kids have to go through at such an early age. And they like, college students are expected to know exactly what they want to do at 18 when they graduate. And we all know, I took 5 years at college because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And I'm in the opinion that I don't think kids should have to pick a major until they're a junior. Like, make them take prereqs, let them explore a little bit, and then once they're about done, let them then pick their major. Because we put so much pressure on these kids at such a young age when they don't even know themselves yet. And that's what this book does really, really well. And it doesn't help, or it does help that the chapters are relatively short. It keeps you going. This is about a 400 some page book, but it does not feel like that. So if you're interested in some YA kind of college drama type book, this one will definitely be for you. Book number 2 is easily probably one of my most favorite books of all time. And I had already filmed a video where I wanted to feature this book, and before I actually started posting on YouTube, I had made about 4 or 5 videos that I just didn't feel confident enough to post. So this book will probably be talked about a lot in some of my future videos, but that is The Lovely War by Julie Berry. I don't think this book is talked about nearly enough because it is such a beautiful story. It's so uniquely told. So this is a love story that is told in the perspective of Aphrodite. And Aphrodite's caught cheating with Ares, and her husband comes in and says, in order for you to prove your love, you need to tell me your most favorite love story of all time. And so she does, and you're kind of flipping through the perspectives of Ares, who is looking at the war, because this takes place in during World War I? I think it's World War I in Paris. But whenever you see like a war scene, it's usually told by Ares. Whenever you see any romance, it's told by Aphrodite. If there's a death, it's told by Hades. So this book is so uniquely told, and because of that, there's so many flipping perspectives, and so it makes the chapters extremely short, and I absolutely loved this book. Like, this is one that I want to give to all my friends. I want to recommend to everybody because it's just so good. Definitely check this one out, and this should probably be my thumbnail. Everyone's doing this on Instagram now. They're like, these photos, but I'm not gonna do that. So the next book I want to talk about, I want to get my 4 YA books out of the way and then talk about my 1 adult book. But the next one I want to talk about is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. And everyone knows this book. If you've been on booktube for a little while, Eliza and Her Monsters has made its rounds. And this is a book about a girl that makes a webcomic, and it starts becoming popular, and the guy that she has a love interest with is a huge fan of this book, and I believe he makes fan art for this book, for her webcomic. It's been about a year since I've read it, so I don't know all the details, but I remember loving this one because there is so much good mental health representation in this, and I suffer from depression and anxiety, and this girl also, I believe she just has anxiety, but then the male also has some social anxiety as well, where he can't talk in public, and so he's always writing things down, he's always texting, and he refuses to talk. And I just thought that was such a cool thing to add to the story. I think it just put that story from like a 4-star to a 5-star for me. It made me love it even more. So if you like short chapters, you'll definitely enjoy all of the pictures, because that's one part of the story, is that the comic that she's publishing is in this book. So you get to read a little bit of a comic, and it makes the book go by super fast. So definitely check this one out if you are a fan of any kind of fandom, or if you're part of any fandom, if you enjoy any kind of mental health rep in your books, this one's definitely for you. So the last YA book I want to talk about is the first in a series, and that is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This book has also been pretty popular on BookTube, and I have just recently read the second book in this series. If you like Sherlock Holmes, Agatha Christie, those type of books, you can definitely see that's the inspiration. And I believe that this book was actually dedicated to the My Favorite Murder Girls. Like, she says something in here like SSDGM, which is stay sexy and don't get murdered, if you listen to that podcast. So this is a young adult book that follows this girl named Stevie, and she is put into this prestigious school setting, she gets put into this prestigious school that is for people that are gifted in some sort of way. And so they have to apply for this school, and then they get accepted. So there's like a YouTube star in here. There's a girl that's a very gifted engineer. And then Stevie, our main character, she's a very talented detective for her age, and there was a murder that happened on the campus of this school that she's going there to investigate. And so it's so interesting. The characters are so cute. It's such a fast read. It's got short chapters. It's got cute banter. I love a school setting. So all of that is in this book. The second book's out, I believe the next one. The second book's called The Vanishing Stair, and then the third one's coming out in January 2020. So definitely keep an eye out for that one, because I will be reading it, and I'll probably be reviewing the entire series because I have loved this series. So last and final book that I want to talk about is my only adult book that I have, and this is an adult, like, I believe they market it as a urban fantasy, but it's such a unique book, and it's only about 300 pages. So when I think of a fantasy, I think of like thousands of pages, and they're going to take me forever to read. That's not the case with this one. And this is Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse, and this is a Native American inspired fantasy story that's kind of like a dystopian, where the waters start coming in on both the coasts of the US, and that's where the events take place. And there's also a bunch of magic that goes into whatever kind of tribe these people are involved in, and the powers that these people have are just so unique, so cool, and there's some drama that's going around, and they're just trying to survive. And this book, I know, is pretty popular amongst the science fiction fantasy community on BookTube, and I definitely think you should check it out. It's, like I said, it's only about 300 pages. The chapters are only about 5 pages a piece. So if you're new to fantasy, I definitely think this one would be for you. And the only drawback that I have about this book is I wish that there was a glossary in the end, because the inspiration that comes from Native American culture makes some of these words very, very difficult to keep straight. Because, for example, I don't know if you can see this, but words like that, and there's ones that are even longer, there's a lot of vowels, a lot of apostrophes, and for me it's not a problem that's in this book, it was hard for me to keep certain things straight. So I wish there was a glossary at the end that would have explained all of the different terms. So that's the only drawback I have for this one, but other than that, this book is so fun to read. It's so quick, you can read it in a couple days. So yeah, definitely check this one out if you're new to fantasy, or if you want to start dipping your foot in fantasy, because yeah, this one's a winner. That's all I have for today. I'm currently trying to film ahead of time so that way I can start uploading twice a week instead of just once a week. So definitely give this book some love. Let me know if there's any books down in the comments below that you think are worth reading that have short chapters. I think that's a fun idea to start going, because I love a good book with short chapters. So definitely let me know. Give this book a thumbs up, subscribe, always helps me out. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!